ROTC, as defined by military.com, is an elective curriculum you take along with your required college classes. ROTC gives someone the opportunity when they graduate to become an officer in the United States military. Not only does ROTC help pay for school, but it also can pay for your living expenses, food, and books. Also, there is a job lined up right after you graduate. Not a bad gig. It sounds all too good to be true, so I sat down with Lieutenant Colonel Lancaster, the commander and professor for the Air Force ROTC at the University of Tennessee.
ROTC, and I'm an ROTC graduate myself, more years ago than I'd like to admit. What I like most about ROTC is you get out of it exactly what you put into it.
What are some of the expectations for you that you expect out of ROTC students in the classroom?
Being here does not, through osmosis, give any student any great capabilities that they didn't have beforehand. But more than anything, it allows them an opportunity to identify their strengths and their weaknesses, to identify their comfort zones and to push them out of those comfort zones to grow.
ROTC students have more expectations than the average college student. Not only must they meet intellectual standards, but physical standards as well, and develop the ability to lead.
So this is the biggest thing, as we expect, actually we kind of demand of our students coming in here, is a willingness to be uncomfortable and to put forward the effort necessary in order to do well with it.
Being in the military does not always mean college is free. Most of the United States military has their own form of education, but the military is not forever, and a military member must transition back to the civilian lifestyle. I sat down with former Marine Sergeant Greg Crawford to see what the transition is like. How has the transition been from military training to civilian college?
It's been relatively easy and hard for me. When I came to college, I was 22 years old, so I was the same age as somebody who might have been a senior. There wasn't an age gap. There was a maturity gap that I found. Most of my classmates were 18, 19 years old. Most of them hadn't really worked a part-time job, or if they did, it was only a part-time job, so they weren't used to working 40 plus hours a week. When you're in the military, it's really 24/7.
Sergeant Crawford found civilian college more individual-based than the military style of team-based learning.
When you're in the military, you do everything as a team. When you're in college, you do everything as an individual. Nobody cares about your grades. You could walk down the street and you're just Joe Schmo. Where in the military, you walk down the street and all your troops are like, "Good morning, Sergeant Crawford," kind of thing. That's a mental challenge that you got to get over, but you'll still find a lot of veterans pair up to create that team atmosphere.
When transitioning out of the military, veterans find that civilian employers are still looking for post-secondary education, not just military experience.
You get out of the military, the same equivalent job that you worked in the military, in the civilian force, requires a bachelor's. It's almost like the civilian workforce says that the military doesn't really count. It's rough. I think that's a big transition issue that we need to work on. One step would be the associates when you get out.
Sergeant Crawford says a way to help yourself as a military member is to leave the military with an associate's in hand. It is this kind of news that influences high school students who have hopes of being in the military to take the ROTC route. Lieutenant Colonel Lancaster says the military is expanding, not everyone can get in.
These opportunities are very good, but they are also very challenging. They're very competitive because, as you can imagine, many students across the country are interested in obtaining these scholarships. We tend to focus on those students who are going into technological-based majors.
The past 5 years, the military had downsized its personnel, but with less personnel, there is more money to distribute. Lieutenant Colonel Lancaster says money is not the main attraction.
We try not to go out there and entice students with money because we find that the students who are most likely to continue and complete the program successfully are those who come to us at our own accord. So we have to find a balance there between getting ourselves understood and known while at the same time not trying to pressure folks for the wrong reasons.
Though the personnel numbers decline, the opportunities arise, says Colonel Lancaster. With more money coming in from the government, more opportunities are expected for the next few years. ROTC is demanding and then rewarding. Once graduated, you can enter a very prestige group in the military. ROTC can prepare someone for life during and after the military.
By the time they graduate, they're able to go and be an active duty officer because the day they commission, they will outrank 80% of the U.S. military on that first day. So they have to have the skills and the tools necessary in order to do that effectively. And that's our goal, and we use all the different tools we have at our disposal to try to get them to that end state.